What's up, guys? Welcome back. I am so happy you are here today with me because we are breaking down one of the most misunderstood topics in weight loss. I am going to be talking about weight loss plateaus. Have you ever felt like you haven't lost any weight for a few days and then you literally immediately thought, oh my God, I must be in a plateau? If it's you, raise your hand. It used to be me, 2 days with no weight loss, and I would be like, oh my God, what is happening? How am I not losing weight? I must be in a plateau. Okay, so guys, the truth is, just because the scale isn't moving for just a couple days doesn't mean you've hit a plateau. So today in this episode, I'm going to break down what actually plateau is and how do you know 100% that you are in one, and then what to do about it. So this episode is going to be super informative. Hopefully, after you listen to this, you're gonna be like, oh wow, like I actually never hit a plateau, because that's gonna be probably the case. But I want to clear this up and just make sure that there's no confusion and you're not making any stupid changes and drastic approaches just because you think you're hitting a plateau. Okay, let's dive into that. No more talking. I'm gonna be talking, but let's talk about the topic. So let's talk about first what is actually a plateau. So guys, a real weight loss plateau happens when your body fully adapts to your current calories and activity, causing fat loss to completely stop for weeks and not just for a few days. Couple days with no change, it does not mean that you're in a plateau. That just means that your body is going through normal fluctuations that are part of the process. Your body shifts daily due things like water retention, your hormones, your digestion, your stress, and so much more. Like, think about it. Depending on what type of foods you're eating, your body might be holding on. Either more water, do maybe like a higher sodium intake, or for example, myself, when I am in like a deficit where I'm trying to like focus on eating like higher volume meals for lower calorie intake, whatever you want to call it, then I am choosing things like, for example, a spaghetti squash or butternut squash, and those are really heavy. Like, when you measure out like 250 grams of butternut squash, volume wise, you guys, my bowl for lunch is always big. Like, it's so full, but the calories for the one meal is like 400 to 500 calories, which is not a lot. But think about it. If I switch from eating just potatoes and chicken and a little bit of broccoli to all of the sudden switching to eating this 250, 300 grams of spaghetti squash that is worth like 70, 80 calories, then the volume of the food that I'm consuming also going to reflect on the scale the next day. So if I switch from, like I said, the potatoes and chicken that doesn't weigh as much on the scale to all of the sudden eating, and that actually happened to me before, that's why I'm giving you this example, to switching to this butternut squash or the spaghetti squash, the next day before I poop, then the scale will go up, and it might make me think that I'm doing something wrong because the scale is up. Well, because I have more volume in my digestive system, okay? So you have to think about one thing, that scientifically a plateau means no change whatsoever in weight, measurements, or progress photos for at least 3 to 4 weeks, regardless of how much you are following your plan, how well you're following your plan. Like, obviously you have to follow it to the T to understand and determine it exactly that you're in a plateau. So 3 to 4 weeks. So if you're losing weight and then all of a sudden it stops for 5 days, you are not in a plateau. You have to stay consistent, because weight loss isn't a straight line. Some weeks you will see a drop, like myself. I'm currently currently in a deficit as I'm recording this episode. Some weeks you're gonna see drops, some weeks nothing. You guys, my weight last week hasn't moved for like 5 days, and then bam, I was 2 pounds down, and that's totally normal. So instead of freaking out, let's look at what is actually happening. So first I want to talk about how long does it take to hit a plateau. First of all, if you've been dieting for just like a few weeks and the scale hasn't moved for a couple days, like I said, you're not in a plateau, your body is adjusting. True plateaus happens after months and months of dieting when your metabolism starts adapting. Now, keep in mind that everyone is different. You can't say, oh, Martina, generally speaking, hits plateau after 18 weeks in a deficit. I will also hit a plateau after 18 weeks. No, every single body is different. Your dieting history is really different. So that's going to also be a big part of like how your body quickly adapts to new calories, things like that. So don't compare yourself to anybody else, but I'm just giving you like roughly the idea, right? So like I said, true plateaus happens after months of dieting when your metabolism starts adapting. Metabolic adaptation, if you've heard that term before from me or someone else, happens when your body recognizes a long-term deficit and slows things down to conserve energy. So I've actually just I film a video on YouTube. If you're not following my YouTube, I'm just starting my channel, or I kind of started, but now I'm being more invested into it, where I'm explaining metabolic adaptation. So it will be uploaded within a few days after I'm actually recording this episode. So you might just go to my YouTube and check that out, where I'm explaining exactly metabolic adaptation, meaning that your body is adaptation machine. Your body adapts to literally everything. So the fact that you're dropping your calories because you want to have abs and you want to be shredded for summer, your body doesn't know that. Your body doesn't know you want to have abs. Your body just recognizes the calorie drop as something that is like, oh wow, okay, there's less food coming in. Let me slowly start adjusting to the new calorie intake, because your body's been put on this earth to survive no matter what. Your body doesn't know that you're trying to have abs. Your body, again, just recognizes the lower calorie intake as something that your body needs to adapt to it, right? So it takes some time, but that's what we call metabolic adaptation. Your body adapts to everything. So the calories that works for you initially, where you are dropping weight, losing weight, feeling amazing, eventually stop working. Those calories will eventually become your new set point if you're losing weight without getting help from a professional and understanding how you can avoid this from happening. So what affects this? Or how quickly you hit a plateau. There's a few things that you want to keep in mind. So number one is, the leaner you are, the quicker plateaus happen. So generally speaking, like even for my clients, I'm just currently having a client who's been cutting for some time. Obviously, we're incorporating diet breaks and things like that. But closer she's to her goal, the harder it is for her to lose weight. And that's very normal. And also, we have to incorporate diet breaks and refeeds. If these words don't make any sense to you, don't worry about that. I might do another episode about that. But pretty much what I'm trying to say is that once you are in a deeper calorie deficit, or you're like way leaner, like for example, myself even competing in 2022, then you're taking the risk that your body starts hitting plateaus a little bit like faster, more often, right? The more aggressively also you cut your calories, the faster your metabolism slows. So yes, you probably, like some people can lose some weight depending on how much they want to lose just by, dropping 200 to 300 calories below their maintenance calories. Some people go in moderate deficit like 500, which is kind of like what I go with usually, even with my clients. And some people, like even sometimes myself, let's be honest, because I like to do sometimes extremes, I just drop my calories a little bit more than 500 a day, which is considered as like a more drastic calorie deficit. But you really have to know how to do that. So if you don't know, please don't do it on your own, okay? So, like I said, more aggressively you cut your calories, the faster your metabolism slows. And another thing also what affects how quickly you hit a plateau is that the longer you stay in a deep deficit, the more your body resists further weight loss. But like I said, that's the metabolic adaptation that we're talking about. Like I said, those calories that you drop, they work initially as a big deficit because it's shock for your body. You go from eating at your maintenance to all of a sudden eating 500 calories below your maintenance. But then the longer you stay there, because maybe you don't have the right guidance from coach who helps you to avoid hitting plateaus, then you're taking the risk of actually being in one. And what typically happens afterwards is where people fail, and that's why they end up eating 1,000 calories a day, not being able to lose weight, and just struggle and feel like their metabolism is broken. Let's talk about what happens when we actually hit the real plateau. First, please remember this: do not panic or slash your calories even more without understanding what is happening in your body. You have to be really, really, really smart about this. So number one, there's a few options that you can do. Number one is you want to maybe move more. So let's say instead of eating less because you're already in a very maybe deep calorie deficit, you can try to increase your daily steps, maybe some workouts or intensity, just kind of play with that. So if you're, for example, doing 5,000 steps a day on average, then you can bump your steps to 10,000. Or if you're already at 10,000, you can bump your steps maybe to like 12,000. And just stay there and see what happens, if you will see any further fat loss phase, and then just go from there. Option number two is reassess your deficit. So if you've been in a deep deficit for too long, your metabolism, like I said, might have slowed down. And so short diet break, which means that you're eating at your maintenance for a week or two. Typically it depends on individual, but for myself, I like to do with clients depending on how many weeks they've been in a deficit, maybe like 2 weeks, just to really give their bodies a break from dieting. That's why we call it diet break, because your body needs a break from dieting. And this will help to almost like reset things, right? Your body will get more fuel, you restore your glycogen storage, you're gonna feel better, you will have more energy, you most likely gonna feel like, oh my god, like I can lift so heavy at the gym. You're just gonna fuel your body more, and that's where you stay for like a week or two, and then you go back to a deficit. Ideally, I like to do this before even we hit a plateau with clients, but like I said, if you don't work with coach and this is something that you want to maybe try, then this is what you can do in order to do that. Option number three is that you can adjust your macros, not just calories. So like I said, don't do anything stupid and start slashing your calories to 1,200 calories. But what you can do instead is that if your protein is maybe moderate or on the lower range, you can bump it up. It helps with muscle retention and fat loss at the same time, because protein requires more energy when it's being digested. We call it thermic effect of food. So your body actually burns more calories by digesting protein compared to carbs and fats. So it could be, it's very little, it's not a significant difference, but it could be the little thing that you can kind of tweak and see what happens. And also obviously protein keeps you feel full for longer. So if you're in a calorie deficit, you probably deal with some hunger. That is part of the process. So I mean, hunger is part of it. You don't want to completely starve yourself, but you're definitely going to feel hungry. So increasing your protein is definitely one of the things that you can do. My protein is usually always really high because I love protein, but I definitely see a difference when I bump it a little bit up. I just feel satiated. Is that a word? I don't know. Just, you know, my English, guys, you know what I'm trying to say here. Every single episode I say something funny or something that doesn't even sound like English, but I think you guys already got used to it, so we're good to go. And you can also try to manipulate your carbs, like change the carb to fat ratio. Again, depends on how your body is responding. But guys, this is what I'm saying. Like, these are just the things that I'm telling you these things as tips, but generally speaking, if you're not a coach educated enough to do these things, a lot of people don't even know what macros are or how to calculate or count them even, or how to track their foods. This is probably something that you want to probably hire someone for and just ask for help. But again, if you're someone advanced and you maybe just need a little tips, this is probably something that could help. Like I said, definitely, if you like refeeds and diet breaks, refeeds are the days where you just pretty much eat more carbohydrates in 1 or 2 days to replenish your glycogen from your muscles and just give you more energy, and it's usually like 1 or 2 days. Diet breaks are generally speaking week or 2, maybe even 3, even longer. So that's the difference between these two terms, and those are the things that you can do to like break through plateau, give your body break from dieting and then go back to a deficit. But ideally, or in ideal world, I personally as a coach likes to do this. I like to do this before client even hits a plateau, or even myself, because I coach myself for nutrition. Right now I don't have a coach. What to not do, like I said, don't do anything stupid like slashing your calories to 1,000 calories. Don't just keep calories down constantly over and over every time you hit a plateau, because eating 800 calories is not the answer, and it will mess with your metabolism and your hormones, and this is going to backfire. And if you're doing this, it means that you don't know what you're doing, because if you understand metabolic adaptation, unless you're competing and you have the show date in calendar and you know that you have to shred and you know that you have to do whatever it takes, and regardless of the fact that you're going to feel like shit, you're going to drop your calories that low because your body is not responding, you do not want to do this. Do not please do that unless you're competing and working with a coach. Those are the extremes that we really, 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 really don't want to ever do. Another thing that you don't want to do on top of this is that don't assume you are in a plateau after a couple of days, or not just seeing any progress just for days or even like a week. It's just not a true plateau unless we are 3 to 4 weeks in no change. So one thing that I'm also going to say, guys, very often when I talk to people and they're like, oh, I think I hit a plateau, I'm going to be honest with you. First thing first, you want to assess really your daily effort, because things like, oh, I just had a few cashews here, or I just had like these, few bites from my kid's dinner plate, or I had a sip of alcohol just, randomly that I didn't even track, or I had a few potato chips that I forgot to track, or I am pouring olive oil on the pan, but I don't measure it because I just eyeball it and think it's probably 3 grams, when in reality it could be 25 grams. These things adds up so quickly, and deeper in a calorie deficit you are, these little mistakes or slip ups or just like things that you just forgot to track are the things that could be easily the reason why you're not losing weight but you're not hitting a plateau. I'm telling you that because I've been in your shoes for so long thinking, oh, like I'm eating healthy, I'm tracking everything, but then it would be a little bit of drizzle oil here on the salad that I wouldn't track, or there was, measuring out a spoon of peanut butter, like 15 grams, but the rest of the peanut butter I would lick, which is another 10 grams, and I would do it 3 times a day, and next thing you know, that's like 100 or 150 calories right there that I didn't take in count, and I'm thinking, no, I'm tracking my food properly. So these are the things that we tend to forget because we think that they're very minimum, and yes, they are minimum, and we shouldn't I generally speaking feel like we should be always very precise if we are aiming for a very specific goal. If we are in a fat loss phase, we want to get the most out of it and get get out of the fat loss phase as fast as possible. That's how fat loss should feel and be planned, instead of I'm cutting, and I don't even know when is the last day of the cut. I have no plan. For me, I'm cutting for 12 weeks and I'm done. Right? So again, make sure that you're intentional, do a little bit self-reflection and really ask yourself, am I 100%, precise, and do I track everything that I eat? Am I hitting my daily step goal consistently, or do I do 4,000 steps one day, another day 7, another day 2? Like, that is a big inconsistency, and obviously your body burns calories by doing these things. So if you're not consistent with that, then that could be a reason why the scale is not moving. If you're skipping the gym and you just feel like it's not a big deal, that could be another reason why you're not losing weight. So do a first assessment, of your efforts before you do anything stupid, okay? Or before you start freaking out and calling your body, stubborn and saying my body works against me, like my body is broken, I must be, dealing with some hormonal changes, and I'm older and losing weight when I'm always hot. Like, I hear this over and over and over. I'm telling you that very often it just comes down to all these things that I just said. So, final thoughts and takeaway for this podcast. A real plateau takes weeks to confirm, not just few days. Write it down. The body naturally fluctuates, so don't stress over daily numbers. Again, think of my spaghetti squash heavy bowl, right? That contains the same amount of calories like just chicken and potatoes, but the volume of the food sitting in my stomach before I go to the bathroom is there, so that could reflect on the scale. The final thought that I want to mention is, if you hit a plateau, you want to focus on, maybe increasing your movement and looking at your consistency and not just slashing your calories. And lastly, I'm going to say, guys, stay patient. Fat loss is a long-term game, and small tweaks will help you keep making progress. And honestly, guys, just think about the fact that in ideal world, we are aiming to lose about half pound to pound of fat a week, right? And when you think about it, it might not sound like a lot, but even if you're gonna go on Google, or you've seen I have like the fake fat and muscle that I use for some of my videos, just look at how much actually 1 pound of fat looks like. It's insane that it's actually a lot. Like, it's a lot when it comes to, like, when you look at it and you think about spreading the fat all over your body. If you lose 1 pound of fat, that is incredible. That is incredible. Go on Google and search for how 1 pound of fat look like, and just look at how it looks, and then try to imagine how that looks on your body. If you lose 1 pound a week, oh my goodness, it's insane. Like, in a year you can lose up to 30 pounds, and when you put those 30 pounds of fat on one big pile, you're gonna be like, holy crap. So be patient. Fat loss takes time. It's uncomfortable. You're eating less than you want in order to maintain weight, and that obviously feels uncomfortable. You're gonna be hungry. It's part of the process, but it's 100% worth it, and especially when you do it the right way. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If this episode helped, share it with a friend who needs to hear this. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on fat loss, better relationship with food, fitness, and just overall sustainable, healthy lifestyle, because you guys know how much I hate diets. But again, if it was helpful, please let me know, share this, and until next time, I will talk to you soon. Bye!